Hi, Rob.
Here we are again. We're
Yep.
going to start with The Lame Shall Enter First by Flannery O'Connor. So can you give us a little summary overview?
Okay, so basically, The Lame Shall Enter First is about this guy named Shepard and his son named Norton. It's like their relationship, and his mom died. Norton's mom died a year before this story takes place, and basically, he doesn't really ever talk to him about his mother, doesn't believe in God or anything. Like, he's an atheist, and he just like thinks like, she's dead, she's gone, it's over, it doesn't matter. And so he doesn't really give Norton a way to like understand or take in the like his mom's death. And he's like, I mean, he's a child, like he does not know how to like cope with that kind of a serious thing. And Shepard basically says like, you know, like, she's gone, you need to learn empathy. He's like, you know, what you need to do in this world is like be good to other people.
I'm sorry,
Like,
that's dad saying?
Yeah,
Okay.
Shepard, like,
Yeah.
he thinks that like you need to basically be good to other people, and so he takes in this kid on the street named Rufus, who has like a bad leg, like a lame leg, I guess you call it, part of the story title. But and he like gives him a key to the house and is like, come in, like, this is gonna be such a great deed for me. And it's kind of a really screwed up situation, because it's like he's doing this because he thinks that it makes him a better person, not because he actually wants to help people or like this kid on the street. And by doing so, I mean, he starts to take care of this kid named Rufus as more of a child to him than his own son. And like they do mostly everything together. And he's like, oh, well, like, I'm helping, I'm teaching my son empathy, like I'm being a good person. It's how he like justifies the whole situation. Meanwhile, his kid is like totally neglected, like feels so unloved, like is completely confused about everything, because he's still like so grieving his mother's loss, like death, so much. And like he obviously has no way like or outlet to like express or feel that kind of a thing, and he doesn't really know what to do about it. And basically he like gets his telescope and he's like looking up at like the moon, and he thinks he like sees his mom in the moon. And that actually comes up and he's like, what are you like doing? And he's like, oh, look, I found mom in the moon. And he's like, go to bed in 15 minutes, like leaves. And it's just like things like that keep happening, and he just like completely neglects him. And actually Rufus is like, he believes in spiritual stuff, actually like Satan, like he really believes in like the devil and all this stuff. And like he steals things, like he stole a Bible, and they were like reading it at the table, and Norton was like, give that back, I don't want to go to hell. And Dad was like, that's stupid, like that's not gonna happen. And then like Rufus like ate like a page of the book, like ate it, and was like, no. And it was like super weird. And then he actually like gets like the police come to his house with Rufus in the car, and he was like, oh, I wanted to get caught because I'd rather be in jail than living in this shepherd's house, because like he thinks he's God when really he's in the devil's power. And you're just like, what the, like the devil has him or whatever. And I'm just like, what? And then he like realizes, he's like, oh my God, like I just spent some time with this kid, like I've been totally neglecting my kid, like I need to go like show him love. Like he goes up to the room to like go hold him. He's like, I need to like be better to him. And when he gets up there, like Norton's killed himself, because like he just didn't know what to do anymore. Like he obviously like his dad wasn't happy with him. He like could not bear life without his mom, and like no one was there for him. So that's basically what happened in the story.
Okay. And are there some key moments throughout the plot, key developing moments that you could tell us more detail about?
Well, one of them that was super interesting was, I remember him like, this was like a point of like neglection for him, was like that the dad's like talking about Rufus all the time, and like his kids like eating cake, and I think there's like ketchup on the cake and some other weird food, like mixture of food. And he's like eating that because like he's obviously like a young kid having to make his own dinner, like he doesn't know what to do. He's like, I'm gonna have this cake and this ketchup, like great. And he like eats it, and then he pukes it up. And he's like, okay, like go lie down. I was like super upset with him. And that was really interesting for me, because I was like, you're literally like so neglectful to like your child who's being there. And I also thought, like, I think it was really interesting to watch this. He was like, you know, I need to show you empathy. Like, that's what he basically thought. That's what the shepherd thought. He was like, I'm going to take in this kid. But, like, he had zero empathy for his own child who, like, lost his mom a year before. And he even says to him, he's like, you know, like, imagine trying to live life like Rufus does. Like, his dad died and, like, his mom's in jail. Like, he's had a horrible life. And, like, he is, like, this bum. Like, you know, if I can just, like, if I take him in, like, I can fix him. He can be a great person. He's going to be so wonderful. I can help him. And it's like, you're not even thinking about how little empathy you have for, like, people around you. And you're obviously using this person who has his own issues happening in life to make you, like, better yourself, is what you're basically what he thought. He was like, I'm going to better myself by helping this other person. I'm going to better my kid too. And, like, he totally didn't know. Like, he never paid any attention to Norton. He only ever focused on Rufus, and that wasn't his own kid, and he wasn't even taking care of him because he cared about him. He was taking care of him because it was going to better himself, which I thought was really horrible. And then also just really sad when, like, obviously when the cops came and he, like, realized that Rufus is freaking crazy and is like, oh my God, like, I'm not going to be in this house with him anymore. Like, he thinks he's God, which is an interesting statement to make to someone about someone who literally doesn't believe in God or the devil or anything. Heaven, hell, he doesn't believe in it. He's a complete atheist. He just doesn't believe in any of that. And, like, I thought that was a really interesting statement. Like, he thinks he's God, but really, like, the devil has him or whatever. Like, the devil's really the thing that's controlling him. And it's, like, such a weird thing to say about someone. And it was also really sad, obviously, to see, like, that he kind of realized how horrible he was in the end. He was like, oh my God, like, I was spending so much time with this crazy kid that I didn't realize that, like, I have not been even listening or being with my own kid. And it was, like, way too late because he spent an entire year, like, trying to, like, push down his son's emotions and feelings and, like, make him be empathetic to other people when he wasn't empathetic to his kid at all, which I thought was just so sad because he ended up killing himself in the end. That was just, like, a horrible thing because he wanted to, like, be with his mom. Once he saw his mom on the moon, he was like, I want to get to you. Like, I want to be with my mom. So, like, he killed himself. I thought that was just really sad. Yep.
Totally. And so, overarching themes or single theme, what would you say?
Themes. Well, some themes were also, well, religion was obviously a theme. And goodness, which I think is a theme in a lot of Flannery O'Connor's stories. She tells a lot about, like, what makes someone good. And, I mean, I definitely, when I was reading this, I kind of thought back to, like, a good man is hard to find. Because it's, like, the whole, like, goodness is really based on what you believe as a person, like, solely on your own opinion. And, like, his idea was, like, oh, like, I'm a good person if I, like, help this person. But if you think about it, like, you're doing that for your own benefit. It's, like, not really helping. I don't think he even thought about it that way, obviously. So I think, like, just religion in general is a theme. It was also really interesting to have people who's, like, a kid that doesn't understand religion really and is, like, thinks, like, I feel like Norton was kind of scared of it. He was like, I don't want to go to hell. Like, don't do that. Like, he didn't know. And then the dad, who obviously didn't believe in anything, was like, you're being dumb. And then to have Rufus there, who was, like, literally believed in the devil. And it was just a really interesting dynamic that way. And I think that was a big theme. And I thought another kind of theme was, like, that I thought was interesting was just, like, how you differentiate different people's problems and what's more significant than somebody else's, because it's really interesting, especially when the dad is saying, or Shepherd was saying, like, you know, like, Rufus, like, how would you like to live in that life, like, where his dad died, his mom's in jail, and, like, he's on the streets, and it's like, okay, but, like, his mom died a year ago, and, like, that's just as hard. Like, it was just really interesting for him to think at least that Rufus's problems in life was a lot harder than Norton's, especially because he didn't have anybody that loved him, because even his dad was, like, never like, there for him. And I thought that was really an interesting theme of just, like, how do you even know, like, whose problems are bigger. And I guess it's also just personal. Same with religion, it's just a personal thing, or who's better, more, like, who has goodness. It's all about, like, what somebody else thinks. I thought those were some big themes. And yeah.
Great. How would you connect this story to your own life?
I don't really know how it connects to like me personally, like completely as me as a person, but I think just like in the world, I think it's interesting because you hear, you know, different people, different experiences. Every single person has like some sort of struggle, trouble in their life, and I think it's really interesting just to see like even at school, just like what's super important to people and what isn't. And like it's interesting also because I mean I go to school with kids who have like, I mean obviously most like rich white kids whatever, but like also like kids who are like all on financial aid and like different backgrounds, and like it's interesting to see what people will vocally say is like their problem. I mean even me, I'm like, oh my god, I have a midterm today, like I'm gonna die, and it's like, yeah, well like at least like I'm at the school, so like
Right.
it's interesting just to think about whose problems are like more significant, if there's even a way to think about that.
Anything else you want to say about this story?
Nope.
All right.